Okay, we're back. That was dumb. I think the WWE is trying to silence me. Either that or I accidentally get cursed by Danhausen. So we're not gonna put up two parts unless this cuts out again, in which case I'm gonna rage. So here's what you missed. We like Dan. I like Danhausen. We both like Alicia Fox. Not a big fan of tats on chicks. That's cool. You do you. Seth and Reigns was terrible, and now we're back. Don't think I missed anything. Marcus, we're moving on to the Women's Rumble. It was, for lack of a better term, Terry Blake. I love that every time one of the women tried to send someone over the top rope, it was always met with like them bouncing off the bottom of the top rope because like no one could actually get them over the top rope. Because no one in the WWE thinks that it's probably a bad idea to have a bunch of women who are like 5'8" and under throwing people over the top rope with clotheslines.
Yeah, it's not good. And this point I'm about to bring up. I'm glad I got you to bounce off of with this. Like a lot of times, we know we naturally suspend a significant amount of believability and suspense or whatever when we watch this stuff because we know
Mm-hmm.
what it is. So we watch Impact, and they've been doing this a lot later with the specifically with the main event world title matches with these ref bumps. And every time the ref gets hit, I go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, here comes the effery." And every time it's this thing where I'm the guy that did the move that knocked the ref out, and right after I knock the ref out, I'm gonna hit my finish and do the pin and actually look for the ref that I just knocked out. That takes me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You come to the Rumble, and I know it's a thing, but logically, and it's simple logic, like we talked about with the female X Division match, which was far superior to this. Um, I'm like, would it have hurt to wear gloves? That was just a simple thing because it's simple logic. You know, you're gonna be traversing that cable. Even the dudes who don't not only regularly wear gloves for that match. Here we come to this Royal Rumble, and every time somebody was trying to eliminate somebody, and it was a specific person, I don't like to rag on her because just her still being employed by the company is a miracle. Tamina's ass was breaking it up. And I'm like, unless it's your tag team partner, even then, that's stupid. Why are you stopping people from getting eliminated when it's a one person winner match? What is that? Like, it makes no sense to me.
You know how you could easily make that work though? All you'd have to do is say the winner of the Rumble gets an automatic title shot at WrestleMania, and they get to pick who they face, but the person with the most eliminations gets the second shot. That right there gives you all the reason in the world to break up eliminations because you don't want anyone else to get credited for throwing people out. Simple.
Funny thing is, that works perfectly into their narrative because they always make that a thing every year, specifically when most of the time the person with the most eliminations isn't actually the person who wins it.
Nope. Let's see. Who had the most eliminations in this year's Royal Rumble? Charlotte Flair. And then Ronda Rousey. So, like, all right, 1 and 2. That makes sense. But then fucking Brie Bella and Rhea Ripley were tied for fourth. So let's go through the entrance because fuck. Sasha Banks came out as a weeboo. Is that the proper term? Waifu? One of them is right. She was rocking her best Sailor Banks outfit. Oh, listen, I like her in a Sailor Moon outfit. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. Would you?
I haven't seen Sailor Moon in years, and I might get back into it.
Well, that's Sasha Scout. A-okay by me. Here's the problem, though. I fucking hate, and I mean fucking hate, Marcus. It's insurrectionists, Skyline chili aficionados, pineapple on pizza,
Can't forget that.
and then pro wrestlers cosplaying in a fucking match. in order.
Oh, looking at you.
And let's be clear, I'm not talking specifically about Sasha. Like Sasha's new to this. I'm looking at Gar fucking Gano.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I don't need to know that you're a Marvel weeboo. Like, fucking take your Daredevil nightstick out of your ass and just go wrestle. Wrestle. And like, I know Ray did it a few times, but at least his gimmick like allowed for it. You know, like he's always a masked wrestler and he's always been kind of billed as a superhero, so it kind of works. But like, I don't need to see all you J Browns walking around going, I'm embracing fucking Street Fighter, like the Young Bucks or who was it? It was the Inner Circle did what was that fucking show? Squid Games or something like that. Like, I don't fucking like. No, stop. Be original. You know what I don't talk about all the time? All the goddamn stupid cosplay outfits. You know what I do think about all the time? Macho Man Randy Savage's blue and white WrestleMania attire, because that was so tasty. I don't think of these fucking millennial douchebags doing their millennial douchebag thing because they have no originality and no actual personality to emphasize who they are. They have to borrow somebody else's. Like, I hate it. And I hate it with Johnny Gargano. I hated it with Ray. And I fucking hate it with Sasha Banks. And the funniest part is, like, Sasha had, like, the little hair things, like, the little balls in her hair. Like, they came out in, like, 30 seconds. Like, why even bother? Why?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Look, now I appreciate it if you're gonna go with a go full tilt. It was annoying with Gargano for no other reason than it did come off like Chad said, like he was just trying to promote him being a Marvel weeboo. It wasn't even varied. It was just specifically Marvel stuff. Which, look, these down. We more DC guys over here, but yeah, it was cool when it was more cool in a way when Finn did it because he incorporated it obviously into the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did the Venom tongue, and then I think he did some other stuff. But
personally, still not a fan.
no, I did 100%. But and then also Ray did some stuff. I appreciated his Flash. I think he did some other stuff.
His Daredevil was tight. I liked his Daredevil. I think that was like WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, not all of it hit. Oh, great. Lita might be challenging Becky at WrestleMania. Okay.
Wait, who's challenging Becky?
It might be Lita.
I thought it was going to be what's her face?
About Belair. It might be because who knows? This might be one of them things where, because we got Elimination Chamber before Mania, so he's saying there's still a chance, yeah. But yeah, I appreciated the fact that they brought her out first because she, do have that Iron Woman quality. But yeah, the cosplay thing, it's a hit or miss for people. Either he's gonna be down with it or you're not. But the things in their hair was like, it was to a point where I'm like, just take it out because the other one's been gone since minute one.
So Banks comes out first. Melina comes out second. They do a little squabble. Melina gets eliminated in 53 seconds, but then they do a split off. And I was fine with that. Then Tamina comes out. Kelly comes out. She lasts all of a minute and 5 seconds before Sasha Banks tosses her out. We'll get to Kelly after we get through the Rumble because there's an interesting conversation there. Aaliyah came out, and I didn't know who she was. I thought it was Ray's daughter for a second. Might still be. I didn't do any research. I don't know who she is. Then Liv Morgan came out. I thought it was what's her face? Alexa Bliss for a second. I hated it. Queen Zelina came out, and I just kind of realized that that's her entire gimmick. Just being queen. No one cares. Then Bianca came out. She, I think, lasted the longest at 47 minutes. Dana Brooke came out, and she lasted 2 minutes. They tried to make her look, imposing. I think she's got a little bit smaller. I last time I saw Dana, which granted I don't watch regularly enough to know, but I thought Dana was a little bit bigger, muscular-wise. She seems to have slimmed down a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The first thing I thought about when I looked at, I'm like, say, did Rocky get bigger or smaller when he fought Drago? I would imagine bigger, because he obviously trimmed down when he fought T. So it feels like the transition that he went from when he fought Apollo and then to when he fought T. But yeah, she's definitely kind of slimmed down. It kind of feels like either she's had a couple things done or she's doing her makeup differently or whatever. But looking at this roster, is more so the former than the latter. Um, but yeah, she's definitely slimmed down.
Yeah, I think she used to be a bodybuilder, so maybe she's just not, working
Yeah,
out like she used to. And being a fitness model or a bodybuilder specifically is a very taxing endeavor. I know a
yeah,
girl. Actually, Dana Brooke and my friend know each other. Um, we're all from the same
nice.
area. She's from, I think, Seven Hills or Strongsville. I think Dana Brooke's from Strongsville, and Strongsville's 15 minutes from me. I don't know Dana, but my friend does. They used to do shows together. It's a very hard thing to do because it's not just about lifting a lot of weights. It's about maintaining a strict diet. So
Yeah,
a lot of bodybuilders don't like maintaining that physique year round. Dana has always been muscular. So like when I saw her, I was like, she kind of looks like a shorter Charlotte Flair. I'm like, what's going on here? Let's see. Then Michelle McCool came out. Somebody called her a Hall of Famer. Wikipedia doesn't list her as a Hall of Famer. Still a god as far as I'm concerned. She's like the fucking worst. I don't care who she's married. I'm a quote AJ Lee here. Talent ain't sexually transmitted.
I just like how I just like how like in every situation that AJ has the opportunity, he points out that like yeah, I know she does it, but I came up with the move in every situation because he recently like brought it up on the bump. I like the fact that he brought it up there. I'm like that's something that's in his crawl a little bit. That's still in this thing, and it's like it don't look as good when she does it. And not knocking her because everybody needs a move, and a lot of these moves just aren't. They don't get held. It's like it's not like when you retire somebody's jersey or whatever. It's like a lot of people just to take the moves, but the fact that it's actually people out there that think she came up with it and then AJ took it. I'm like, yo, bro, yeah, it's just
Here's
you
why
need.
she will never be a legend in any legitimate sense. When that whole thing went off, she said, "I don't know who he is. So how could I stole his move?" And when she said that, she lost the plot. When you lose the plot, you lose the audience. When the audience is gone, you suck. So it doesn't matter. Like, she could go through a burning table, do a Mick Foley run at 40 and, put people over and sell out Madison Square Garden and rip off her left arm and beat somebody to death with it in a death match. And I would still sit here and go, you're a hack. Because you disrespected somebody that you knew you stole from. Fuck you. If she had just said, yeah, I love AJ Styles and I wanted to kind of incorporate some of his moves because I'm such a fan, I would have been like, that's fair. I dig that. Because CM Punk did that. He's like, I love Kenta. I stole his move. You goddamn right I did. It's an awesome move. Of
I
course
was
I stole it.
just about to go into that, and that's so much. You can't even crap on that when somebody does that outright.
No. Like, what are you going
You
to
can
do? Be mad that he's paying homage to your ass? Really? Ah.
it's it because I don't think anybody had to, and this is just I mean Twitter is not a real place, but for a lot of ignorant idiots it really is. So nobody had to follow it up with okay, so how did you come up with the move? Nobody thought to ask her that, and
I
if
don't
they
even think
did,
this was when Twitter was around, was it?
I feel like it was. I feel like where else would she respond? I don't feel like she responded to that in the interview. I feel like somebody tweeted that because I think this was when AJ was either still in Impact or on his New Japan run, or his independent run.
No, it was when, because like she started using it in 2008. And that's when like the whole thing popped off. And Styles was still very much part of Impact at the time, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. So
She's terrible, though. I'm sure she's a nice person. Like, I don't know her from Adam or Eve, but, like, my God, you are terrible. And if she ever goes into the Hall of Fame, Coco, beware, beware. Because there will be a new bottom tier to the fucking Hall of Fame. Like, as far as wrestlers go, I always said that Coco Beware was, like, the least. Like, if you had a career slightly better than Coco Beware, which is like 2/3 of the roster at any given year, you're a Hall of Famer in their eyes. But if Michelle McCool goes in, there's a new bottom to this Hall of Fame, folks.
yes, because I mean, honestly, how many things do we see today that are the original? How many things that are left that are actually original? We've seen it all. Because it's like Peter Williams may have one of the most bastardized finishes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
To the point where like I cringe for him now. I know at this point he probably doesn't even care, but I cringe for him now.
Well, I do kind of want to point out something else. Like, how many times have we seen a dude in a match hit a DDT? Yet, when Jake Roberts hits a DDT, even though he's like 68, I still mark out for it. And I think the thing that really sells it is instead of doing the idea of like who owns the move, if you're able to protect your move, then it doesn't matter who else does it because you will be forever, classed with the idea that your move done by you is better than any other version. Like Petey Williams had one person in all of Impact's history kick out of it, and that was Eli Drake, aka LA Knight. That's it. One person. Kenny Omega has had one person kick out of his move because of Chico Kata. So like you can hit the one-winged angel all you want in South Hampshire Shire Championship squandering. You can hit it 45 times in a row. I don't think it's going to take away the efficacy of the move when Kenny does it, though. It's all about how you can build and book that move for that person. But when you start to bastardize it within the wrestler itself, like with Reigns' spear or Rollins' curb stomp, that's when it's like you can't fucking bounce back from that.
You're not wrong about that because Kenny will go for the one wing angel a lot, but once he hits it, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that's it, Sonya Deville came out after Michelle McCool. That's when I decided that, maybe the Rumble wasn't for me anymore. Natalia Cameron, of all people, she gets chucked out in 51 seconds. Then who comes out next? Naomi. She gets chucked out by Sonya Deville, too. And I'm just sitting here going, she was in the match for 2 minutes and she threw out 2 people. What?
That's another thing that I wish they did with the Rumble. Like, once you get eliminated, you have to go to the back.
Yep.
We've seen that a lot through the years where people like get eliminated and then pull somebody. I'm like, what is the point? If they could just spend the rest of the match pulling people from outside, that makes no. But again, loopholes in the loopholes.
Carmella's out next. Good God, how does she still have a job?
Hey, Graves.
Then Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. The best of the night, Ivory. That was dope. I love that. Yes, please. She's like 57, and like they kind of like gently put her out of the Rumble. She actually took a pretty nice bump for being her age. Because she's only like 4'11". Correction, Ivory is 60.
Yeah, man, but she's always like maintained like a very toned body.
She's yoked. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
She's 60 and yoked.
Yeah.
But, I was surprised that she took the bump she did because, like, they threw her out of the fucking ring.
Yeah, she didn't grab no, because she had to hold the mic the whole time.
Fucking AARP for you over here getting chucked out.
That's that DDP yoga for you.
Yes, it is. Then Brie Bella came out. And then she started doing her husband's chant because she's so unoriginal and has zero originality to her entire identity. Is it obvious I still think the Bella twins are trash? Because they are. Fuck them. At least, like, Nikki came out with a somewhat different look. Her hair was a little... she looked like Megan Olivia. I was like, wait. When did Megan O'Leary become a pro wrestler? When did Megan O'Leary start like hawking up her tits so like they're spilling out her top? When did this become a thing? I thought she was covering a UFC show next week. Like what? So like kudos for Nikki Bella because she looked radically different from the last time I saw her. But Bree's like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing the same shtick. Speaking of the same shtick, Mickie James came out next.
Yeah, her just coming out with that Impact title is she could have went out the minute she got in the ring and got eliminated faster than Santino did that one year, and it still would have been a win.
They marketed her, promoted her, and announced her as an Impact Knockouts champion. So you know what? Kudos to WWE for doing one thing right in their last 700 days of operation. Good for you.
And to be fair, with the way she was booked when she was with the company, and specifically the way that she got fired and then sent her stuff via trash bag, that's the least they could have did.
And she even threw out Michelle McCool. So, like, you know, that was cool. And as much as I think Michelle McCool is trash as a wrestler, and as much as her entire run in the WWE was only facilitated by the fact that she was blowing The Undertaker, the fact that they did the Mickie James Michelle McCool revisitation of their 2009-2010 rivalry in that Rumble spot, I'm a fan of callbacks. So tip of the cap to that. Tip of the cap.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox came out next. She was looking good. Not a fan of the tattoos though. Never a fan of tattoos. But it's Alicia Fox. Like, I'm glad she's okay. That's what it boils down to. I'm glad she's sober. I hope she's sober, and I'm glad she is, if she is. Then Nikki Ash came out. Talk about a waste of fucking potential. Summer Rae came out. Talk about a waste.
And we try not to do this here, but she is one of the prettiest, weird-looking women that's ever come through that company. Like, you stunning and funny looking at the same time.
If a pelican could be sexy, it'd be sexy. I mean, she's a sexy-ass pelican, let's be honest. And she's a legend, too. Fucking new goddamn entry into that. Nikki Bella came out next. Sarah Logan. That was kind of dope, I guess. People were like, hey, it's Sarah Logan. I think her and Liv Morgan had a moment.
Yeah, that was the Christian for her age. Yeah.
No, that was like the Duke to the Luke of the Bushwhackers. Come on. Like, I don't like Edge. I don't like Christian, but I'm not even going to go there. Like, those two goofy looking dudes at least deserve something their own.
I was like, that was the Basham coming for the other Basham.
Do you mean Doug Basham and the Damager? Wasn't that their names in Impact? Basham and Damager? Oh,
I think so.
Terrible. Speaking of terrible, Nikki Bella, she came out. Lita, Molly Holly, Ronda Rousey, Shotzi, and then Shayna Baszler. That's your that was your Rumble. Rousey gets the win, and she's so smoking hot in her new boob window shirt that the WrestleMania sign caught on fire. The roof is on fire. No, seriously, you guys got to leave your seats. The fucking thing's on fire. And the funniest shit is they knew it was gonna happen again. Did you know this? Were you aware of this?
Wait a minute, something caught fire for real?
So the WrestleMania sign caught fire.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So when Ronda pointed at the sign, it went with all the fucking explosions and whatnot. Something in it caught fire, so they had to lower it, put it out, and raise it back up. But after the mixed tag match, a bunch of WWE personnel came out to that area again, because it was like above a section of seats, and they basically told them, "You're going to need to leave your seats again." And they're like, "Why?" It's like, "Well, we know it's going to catch on fire again." And they're like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, we know that after the next, when the Rumble's over, it's going to have another set of explosions and it's going to catch on fire again. We know this is going to happen. It's going to be a thing. So you're going to need to leave your seats." And I'm sitting there going, why do people want pyro? This is dumb.
People don't ever ask why Owen Hart's wife don't F with these people
No,
again.
no.
Okay?
Marcus, I don't know about you, but 4th of July, you like fireworks?
I don't need them.
I can't fucking stand them. I think people who launch fireworks off in a residential community are assholes.
Yeah.
If I knew who was doing it, like not the city fireworks, like I don't like them either. But like if I knew who the people in their fucking hick ass backyards were who were firing off the goddamn firecrackers or fireworks, I would find them, drive my fucking car over their goddamn fireworks, and just leave. Because fuck them. I hate it. I hate
This is
explosions. I fucking hate it.
to be fair, we talking about the Royal Rumble, so segueing is actually doing our show better. The show was ass, but do you have those people that just do fireworks?
Yes.
I would trade you because the fuckers near me do a 50-50 split where it's like we're gonna start with fireworks, and then it's just gonna turn into the Bad Boys 2 shootout scene. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna light it up. Oh yeah, they're not gonna know the difference. It all sounds like poppers. Oh fuck, it don't sound like poppers.
Hey, Mitch. Yeah, Roy. Fireworks aren't going off. Give me my AK. We're going to see if we can't make this change so we can have some fun. Just seeing some dude shooting his goddamn rifle at fireworks, trying to make them explode. Keep on rocking in a free world.
I feel like it's two people across from each other. It's like, okay, you guys do fireworks, then we'll do gunfire, and then we'll switch. Assholes.
Ma, Aunt Helen keeps shooting at the neighbors. Are they shooting off fireworks? Yeah. Well, that's why. Speaking of why did Dewdrop get a title match?
And this is why the division is garbage. Not to knock. What's a legitimate name? Because Dewdrop is just
Piper Niven.
Yeah, Piper Niven. Not to knock her. She's good. You would never know from the storyline she's been in. But yeah, they just biding time for Becky to get to Mania because they've done her and Bianca ad nauseum, and they can't revisit the Charlotte thing, and literally nobody else on the roster is worth it. So,
Dewdrop's a cutie, but I think that's the issue. I don't buy these. I'm just a good person doing all the wrestle stuff. I didn't buy it with Bailey. I didn't buy it with Dewdrop. And it's fine when you do it with a Joseph Park types character where he's supposed to lose all the time and he's just a big bumbling doofus. But they're trying to put Dewdrop over as a talent. But she's like, I'm just so bubbly and happy to be here. It's like, why am I supposed to buy into you being an ass kicker? This is an ass kicking contest. It is a literal ass kicking contest. Why do I think you're going to fucking fluff your way through this? You look like fairy dust and marshmallow fluff. What the fuck is going on here?
it reminded me of the whole Nia Jax, I'm a role model / bully.
She'll be a star all over your face. I love Danhausen. Love him. We're going to get to him. If I find out the AEW's booking Danhausen to win a world title, I'm going to scoff, laugh, and walk away. I love Danhausen. But I love him because he's not a serious wrestler, and he's not presented as a serious wrestler.
That's the long-term plan for them to screw Chad over. Like, oh, you don't want to watch our product. You think our stuff is mediocre? We're going to book Danhausen. No, we're going to book it to where the world title is vacant, and it's going to be Danhausen in the main event for the world title versus Marco Stunt.
Oh, that's a great way to make me just angry. If they do a trios title and have Sting, Darby, and Danhausen win this trio title, I'll be fine with that.
That'll work. Christmas too. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we just mention that the lone time I ever liked Santino Marella was when he was about to eliminate Alberto Del Rio in the Rumble. God, they missed an opportunity. even if they weren't going to do it long term, like, and they did like something like where Del Rio won the spot back at like No Way Out or Elimination Chamber or whatever it was, that would have been fine. But like, could you imagine like Santino accidentally winning the Rumble? Like that would have been awesome.
Santino had like an offshoot angle like career without any other good matches.
Yeah. I remember I was so excited when he debuted. I'm like, an Italian. I'm so in love with this. And then he beat Bobby Lashley. I was like, oh, no, he beat Umaga. Thanks to Bobby Lashley. I was like, oh, this is great.
Or as a now released William Regal would call him, Umanga.
Umaga. Speaking of Umaga, that's pretty much what I said at the end of this Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match. I don't know what I was expecting. Like I knew this was how it was gonna end. Like it's one of those where that girl you just know you can't get out of your system calls you up and goes, "I'm ready to be serious with you," and you know she's not. You know she's got at least 16 different venereal diseases. You know that she's at least 48% more likely to stab you in your sleep than any other person in existence. But as Christopher Titus once said, the booty is good. So you bring her in. You know how it's going to end. You know you're going to be up hanging on a flagpole calling the cops for the third time in a decade to get her arrested. You know that's how it's going to end. But you still choose to trust her.
It's that thing, and this, and people, long time listeners know me and try to take any opportunity to reference one of my favorite movies. It's like this scenario, obviously Chad is Benedict Jet and I'm Smalls because he's the more experienced guy here. It's like that. It's like you geeked up to smash this girl and everything. You just know when you eventually do, it's gonna be the bee's knees. And then I guess you get in bed and it's all hype. She doesn't know anything what she's doing. She uses teeth in situations she's not supposed to use teeth. Back shots are horrible. She can't ride.
Marcus, did you ever see Wedding Crashers?
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where like he's having sex with her and she's like, yeah, I came. That was this fucking match. So Heyman betrays Reigns to side with Lesnar, and then betrays Lesnar to side with Reigns. All while Bobby Lashley and MVP kind of sneak out the back with the title like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Well, that's actually Pink Panther, but you know what I mean. Where they're like high step tiptoeing out the back door as the strings are playing as they're sneaking away. Utterly disappointed. Hiram Jitsu's like, well, at least Lashley won. And I'm like, man, I wish someone else was booking this shit. Because my God.
Again,
how do you waste this? How do you waste this?
Again, don't tell us nothing about his running Impact. Because when Bobby was that dude, he was that dude.
Keep in mind, Bobby's best feud in WWE is still his feud in Impact with Drew McIntyre. Honestly, I think about like the last 10 years of the WWE's product. Every good thing they've done has been somebody else's best shit. What was Kevin Owens' best feud in WWE? Sami Zayn. Ring of Honor's biggest feud. Boom. AJ Styles and Nakamura. What was their big old match? New Japan. These dudes can't think of anything original, and then they poo-poo anything that anyone else made, and then they're like, no, we're so good, but then everything else they do is somebody else's best work. So, fuck 'em. Speaking of fuck 'em, Maurice and Miz took on Beth Phoenix and Edge.
I didn't even watch this.
It was terrible. It was so goddamn bad. Maurice, before she had 2 kids and turned 40, was never a good athlete. She wasn't. She was terrible. And I will say this, because I want to be very clear about my predilections. She's 40. She got 2 kids. She rocking it still. Tell you what. Maurice is still a dime. But she had a half of a left foot when she was wrestling all the time. She doesn't even have that anymore. She is garbaggio. She is finito. If I never see another Maurice match again, it will have been 25 years too fucking late. She is terrible. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. Great mom. She's as good of a wife as she can be to a guy named Mike Mizanin. Like, anything short of not stabbing him every day makes her a spouse of the year candidate. Because I do know Mike Mizanin. I do know the Mizanin family. That is a hard fucking family to love.
It was like they're the less aggressive O'Doyles.
Right? Essentially. So, yeah, this match was terrible.
I would imagine they run. Beth looks great as always. I'm pretty sure Edge was just elated to be there with his wife, and I'm sure he was happy to be like, no, I just need to prop my wife up because this should just be a handicap match.
Like, it really should have just been a segment. Like, it didn't need to be a match. It could have been a singles match with Beth coming out and beating up Maurice and then Miz. I think the worst part was they did a double. Did they hit the double skull crushing finale? I think they did. And like it didn't work, and Edge kicked out of it. I'm like, all right, way to ruin his fucking finisher. And then Beth and Edge, I think, hit matching spears, or I think they hit somebody. I think they hit Miz with a dual spear. That's how it ended.
Well, maybe she's not small enough now, but I feel like Beth could glam slam both of them at once.
That's what it was. They did glam slams to them. That's what it was.
Oh.
Beth hit a glam slam on Maurice, and Edge hit one on Miz, and I think Edge pinned Miz. It's bad. It's fucking stupid. Fucking hated it. Speaking of hating it, let's talk about the Men's Royal Rumble. People are calling this the worst Royal Rumble in history. I'm supposed to, I guess, argue that it wasn't. I don't have it in me. I think people need to understand that if you actually thought this was not going to go the way it was going to, then you're stupid. Like, I don't like begrudging and dismissing people's intelligence levels, but if you thought the minute Brock Lesnar lost the title that he wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble, you're stupid. Like, this is one of those situations where someone has like a shock collar in their hands, and they keep pushing their hand past the barrier to shock themselves, and they keep doing it thinking that this is going to be the time it doesn't do it. And it still does it. Why do people keep thinking that a Vince McMahon booked property is going to be any good? It hasn't been good for 15 years. This isn't hyperbole. It's been a bad company for 15 years. But now we're supposed to think that this is the year he gets it right. Vince McMahon is a terrible promoter. He is a terrible booker. He is a terrible creator of content. He had like 97 to 2005. Everything else has been horse shit. He over-relied on one dude for so long that in 5 years his spark went from the biggest hulking maniac possible to we're fucking done with him. Because Vince has no idea how to book talent. He never has. People just really loved those wrestling buddies back in the day. It funded his empire. He's the Jerry Jones of pro wrestling. He's not a good owner. He's just been lucky. For the last 15 years, we've seen what he looks like when he actually has to try. And it's not good.
Yeah, most stuff in the last decade plus has gotten over in spite of the company.
Literally.
Like the Fandango music, obviously. The Pipe Bomb promo all those years ago. The Rusev Day stuff. Essentially, ever since The Rock, he's never allowed anybody to actually attempt to be bigger than the company because he knows he can't take it. Because they can't take credit for it. So it's like they cap these people off at the knees intentionally, and then ride people like Brock and Goldberg and run people like Undertaker unnecessarily into the ground. Because all they have is nostalgia. And that doesn't work for them anymore.
So here's the Rumble. Styles, Nakamura, Theory. I don't know why. Like, Austin Theory is just so goddamn boring. Even his name makes me bored. Bobby Roode, Ridge Holland. I didn't know who that was. Montez Ford, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville. He eliminates. Who did he eliminate? He didn't eliminate anyone. Sami Zayn eliminated him, though. They're apparently going to build up to a match because Knoxville is like, I'm coming for you, Zayn. And I'm like, okay. Angelo Dawkins, then Omos. All I got to say is, like, when are we going to stop doing the big man is going to win the Rumble motif because they never do? Like, seriously, who's the biggest Royal Rumble winner? Like, Yokozuna, I think? Who's the tallest? Undertaker? Braun Strowman never won it. Big Show never won it. Kane never won it. Kevin Nash never won it. Almost has never won it. Just saying. Ricochet, Chad Gable, Dominic Mysterio, Happy Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, Rick Bogues, Madcap Moss. Like, who the fuck are these guys? Matt Riddle. Hide your women, folks. Matt Riddle's here. Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, King Kofi Kingston. Oof, those are bad letters. Kofi lasted 21 seconds because he fucked up his spot.
I didn't even see that, but damn.
Yep.
Well, law of diminishing returns will do that to you.
Yep. Still, can we just appreciate CM Punk's iconic line about Kofi Kingston possibly winning the Royal Rumble? King Kofi Kingston. Love the sound of that. Not a big fan of the lettering.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's you do nothing else this year. You did enough.
That was, 2008, I think, when they were doing, I think that was the Regal one, the King of the Ring. And CM Punk was on commentary. And he was like, yeah, I love the sound of King Kofi Kingston. And then he's like, I'm not a fan of the abbreviation, though.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
I gotta find it. Like, Punk on commentary has always been fantastic. Like when John Cena knocked over his Diet Pepsi, and he's like, John, my soda! In my head, that's the whole reason the whole Summer of Punk feud happened. Him and Cena that were feuding because Cena knocked over his can of Pepsi and never fucking paid for it. That's headcanon right there. Otis, Big E, Bad Bunny, Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar. That's your Rumble. I was fine with Bad Bunny coming out. A lot of people, I guess, weren't. Shane McMahon apparently booked the entire thing, literally, and people didn't like it, so that's funny. And then Lesnar won. And now Lesnar's facing off with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for what, the third time? Fourth time?
Heyman on a pole match.
And like the funny thing is, like, none of these times have ever been one that we wanted to see.
Specifically that time when they were playing Texas Hold'em with the belt.
Oh yeah, where they're like, my belt. No, my belt. No, my belt.
Maybe the stupidest final segment before a big match I've ever seen. One of. I gotta say one of because it's this company, but oh my god, that was horrendous.
Okay, so let's see. So Brock faced off with Reigns at WrestleMania 34. And we know that Brock faced off with Reigns at WrestleMania 31. They haven't. Brock faced off with Drew at 36. Although that was supposed to be. Wasn't Brock versus Reigns supposed to be WrestleMania 36? Or was Drew always supposed to be in that spot?
Brock versus Reigns. Because this one Reigns dropped out because of COVID, right?
Yeah. Was that always supposed to be Drew, though?
I think it was always supposed to be Drew. I think Reigns was supposed to face off with Goldberg, and they replaced it with Strowman.
That's what it was. Okay, so I was half right.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania 35. What was that? Kurt Angle's retirement. That's what that was. Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 35. So this will be their third match at WrestleMania, and their umpteenth match in general. Marcus, do you give a shit, and I mean just any old shit, about Reigns versus Lesnar again?
Only because I'm actually interested this time because both sides are intriguing to me. Like with both other times we were like caught in the reins of being pushed to the moon, and Lesnar is just immovable wall. But both are intriguing this time, just because this is the most intrigue. This is the most interesting thing Reigns has done. Well, for me in a way, character wise. Obviously, Heyman's in a different spot, and Lesnar's showing more personality than he has clearly in years, and is enjoying it. So, um, and damn, I wonder if that's why they switched Heyman back because it was like, I mean, between the flannel and some of the stuff he said on the mic work, he really don't need Paul this time around. So they just gave him, they just give Heyman back.
Honestly, since like '03,
Yeah.
Lesnar really never needed Heyman. Like, one of his best promos was when he was fucking taking shots at Eddie Guerrero. Because Eddie Guerrero's like, my whole life I've been fighting demons. And then Brock's like, Eddie, at No Way Out, you're not fighting a demon. You're fighting me. And I'm like, whoa. Ooh, that's a line. And then like you had the whole Undertaker Lesnar like, I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna have to. Like Lesnar's never, like, he doesn't need Heyman. I think Lesnar's just super fucking lazy, and he doesn't want to learn his lines. I think that's what it comes down to.
It's one of them things, much like obviously somebody we're not very high on here, Orton. If he's not into it, we lame duck all night.
Yep.
But if he's get turned on or feeling invested or fired up in any way, nobody's touching him.
Nope.
And I feel like that's what this Lesnar's just enjoying it this time around for whatever final reason. Like I said, he's the most terrifying man, even more so when he's happy. So it's just one of them things. But if he don't feel like it that night, you could smell the get me out of here on him. Every second he's on screen. We saw when he did that Mania match with Goldberg. Neither one of them wanted to be there.
So according to Dave Meltzer, Ronda Rousey's back to being part of the official everyday roster. Moving forward, the idea is to have her face off with Flair at WrestleMania 38, and then at WrestleMania 39, face off with big-time Becky Lynch.
Oh, she can't interject and make it another three-way again?
Worst three-way ever. But that's not all, Marcus. Because while Ronda Rousey was always scheduled to win the Royal Rumble, one man was supposed to win the Royal Rumble before Brock Lesnar, and that man was supposed to be Matthew Riddle. Yup. According to Mike Johnson, the PW Insider, the original plan called for Matt Riddle to win the men's Royal Rumble match. Johnson states that the plans were changed a ton of times during the week before settling on the end result of Lesnar's victor. Other pitches for the winner also include Randy Orton at one point, but Riddle was the front runner the entire time before the decision made was to go with Lesnar. While this isn't necessarily confirmed, this might help paint a picture that the WWE's plans are for Bobby Lashley on the road to WrestleMania. At this time, it's unknown who will challenge the Almighty for the title at Mania. Orton and or Riddle could potentially be in the mix based on this report. Fans will probably find out sooner rather than later, as Lashley is currently scheduled to defend the WWE Championship next month inside the Elimination Chamber on February 19th in Saudi Arabia. So,
The only thing that would have been better than it being Brock that took it from Riddle, but that would have been Goldberg.
yeah. So I think it's interesting that WWE is basically just falling onto all of UFC's biggest names that they currently have access to. Like, Riddle's not a big UFC name, but like he was in UFC. So is Shayna Baszler. I think she was in that for a little while. But like Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar, the two biggest UFC draws of their era, are headlining WrestleMania. Tell me more about how this isn't WCW circa 2000. Tell me more. By the by, we got to talk about this whole Kelly nonsense. So, after the Rumble, somebody said that, this is what happens when you get plastic surgery. You ruin yourself. Don't do it. in regards to Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly has basically said, I've not gotten plastic surgery. I don't know if that's true. And this is just what aging looks like. And then all the women are like, yes, yes, queen, slay queen, and all that. Now, I try not to do the whole like judging people's looks because like who the fuck am I, right? I'm allowed to say I'm attracted. I'm allowed to say I'm not attracted to people. It's fine. But I looked at Kelly Kelly's run in 2020, and then on Saturday, and I don't know if she's had any work done, and it wouldn't matter if she did. But here's what I did notice: Kelly Kelly has basically decided to live in a bronzer, and it ain't working for her. Because like you can see like her eyes and mouth aren't as tan as the rest of her face, and it just looks weird. And I'm just wondering, why do women do this? Why do they paint themselves brown essentially, and then like put on half a pound of face makeup? It's the weirdest look. Like it looks like you're just shot filled with Botox, and that's not the case here. Just it looks weird. It looks weird and it's unsettling. I wish this wasn't something that was brought up, but the stark difference between her run in 2020 and her run in 2022, noticeable, very noticeable. Again, not plastic surgery, but it's definitely some fucking high intense bronzer. Why do people do that? Why do people put so much bronzer on Marcus that if they sat down on a white couch, you'd see their outline?
Because they're, doing what she's doing. Who she is, the Instagram of it all, I would imagine she is some form of an influence or some sort. I don't know. I know she was on some type of reality show for some type of wives or girlfriends or whatever. I think it was WAG she was on or some crap. Um,
That sounds awful.
yeah, wives and girlfriends or something. But she's remained in the cosmetic stage of the entertainment realm. So I feel like in that, I guess the narrative is more, not less, which is a lot of that WWE teaching by default anyway. Because again, we just talked about it before we got on. 4 hours of makeup for what, 2 minutes of work?
You ain't wrong.
So in her mind, it's like got these HD cameras. I need to look flawless. But it's like just like a lot of the WWE product. What happens when you overproduce yourself cosmetically?
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like, look how you want to look, dress how you want to dress. Like that's fine. Just kind of remember that you can, in fact, look too fake. And I think that's kind of the issue here. Like, she looked inauthentic. Now, granted, she was tan and bleach blonde when she made her debut, but it wasn't to this extent. And, like, I look at Ivory. She's 60, and she looks fantastic. Didn't come out in cakes makeup, didn't try to do anything too fancy, and she looked fantastic. I just feel like sometimes you don't need to be so processed, right? And it goes for the men too. Now, granted, on the men, you have like an extreme scale the other way. Like you look at Matt Riddle, and besides the fact he's probably just a terrible human being, he looks like he doesn't shower. Ever. He looks like someone who goes to bed in his trunks, wakes up 3 hours late, gets high on the way to someplace, because he's the kind of guy that gets stoned while driving. That's just who he is, I bet. And then shows up in the same stuff he wore the night before and just goes out and wrestles. Doesn't even wash his junk. So like you can go the other way. It ain't any better. It's just a different way. It's just as bad is what I'm saying. It's a different direction. Put in some effort, but don't try to be fake about it. Like be authentic. That's what we like. And Kelly kind of has always been inauthentic. She's never been like what is it? What besides her being like a stripper in the ECW? Like what was her shtick? She had two names that were the same. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the whole narrative. Girl so nice, mom named her twice, and it was a stripper appeal, and then she was Mike Knox's girl in character, of course. But yeah, other than that, it seemed like another one of them scenarios like we talked about, getting picked out of a photo shoot magazine or whatever, or all directly out of a photo shoot, and then got put in. Didn't really have no skill. Had to develop what little she could, hasn't really gotten any better over the years. Um, and maybe that's the thing. Subconsciously, she like, I don't know how much notice they got for this. I don't know how much notice you give somebody if they only gonna have 2 minutes worth of work. Um, but it might be one of them things like I know I'm not finna go out here and blow people's minds, but if I can blow their minds, if I can blow their eyesight with how they wild look, then they might not pay so much attention to me botching a cartwheel body splash in the corner or something.
Well, at least we can all kind of have a good laugh at it, you know. Mostly because she's come a long way. I don't want to bring up the party sink incident, but I don't know if Marcus knows about this.
You talking about that? Was this a reference to her potentially peeing in a sink? My memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, your memory serves you correctly.
Oh yes, this infamous photo. I feel like this also got brought up on and maybe it didn't on a kayfabe commentaries or something.
Really?
I want to say all the stuff that the women have done that may have been sketchy. Did like I think was it Atlas that talked about like some situation where I think the Bella skinny dipped in a pool or something.
You know, Tony Atlas would be the one to bring that up.
Or something that he heard, or maybe he was there at the time or something and didn't see it but heard about it. I don't know. But if it does seem like both of them was on that Brie mode tip back in the early days when they had the same cup size.
Yeah, and that was always kind of one of those things. Like they present some of these women like they're fucking role models when they're goddamn not. Like Brie Bella was literally known for drinking so much that people thought she had a problem. So what is the WWE? They turn it into her gimmick. Then again, are we shocked? This is the same company that, hey, Scott Hall. Not Scott Hall, excuse me, wrong person. Hey, Road Warrior Hawk, you're clearly going through some alcohol issues. You want to ham it up on TV for us? And we'll have Darren Drozdoff try to kill you. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Hey, Jeff, you want to do a storyline where you get into an accident and then Sheamus mocks your alcoholism?
hey,
As a
Jeff,
part.
your house legitimately burns down. Your dog legitimately dies. How about we say your brother did it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this company. I'll say this, though. Kelly still looks good. She's 35. She should still look good. All I'm asking is lay off the bronzer. I'm sure you look good if you weren't as tan. You know, look at Maitland Ward. She's so fucking pale, she's translucent.
Yeah, that's just.
But no one has a problem with it.
I've seen mostly because they probably paying attention to other stuff.
Excuse
When
me.
the boy meets world. Anyway, no.
When the boy eats world. No, don't ruin the show, Marcus.
I'm shocked nobody's come out with that. But as
Give
a
it time.
parody.
Give
But
it time.
like you just gave away $1 million idea. But yeah, it's to the point where a lot of them kind of have to find that happy medium because you either underdo it or you overdo it, and you come on TV looking like Orangehausen.
Bronze Cassidy. She still looks good though. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Still looks good. But let's not glamorize the party lifestyle. Let's not go Euphoria here. Have you watched that show, by the way?
No, and Zendaya has been having a hell of a run. I'm not trying to get into that show. Like I made myself get away from Riverdale. I can only do so much of the teen drama as I'm still actively watching certain stuff on the CW. Um, but yeah, I can't do it. Specifically if it's about the drugs and all that whole thing. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous road. I love Zendaya though. Like Zendaya.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm fucking that up. But like I love her. She's great. Tremendous talent. But pick better material. Oh, by the by, did you see that? Did I retweet that what was that? The John Cena Peacemaker clip. Did I retweet that to you yet?
The clip about him rattling off the names.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Just
And those
brilliant.
cunts from Riverdale.
Riverdale. Which is funny because I thought the Riverdale reference came when he said Alice Cooper. Because obviously,
Yes.
yeah, but then he said that those cunts from Riverdale. I'm like, oh, that is brilliant. That is the amount of fun. I'm like, this is the closest we're gonna get. Because obviously certain people are divided over how they feel about, I guess, DC's new direction with the series and the movies. I don't get caught up in that crap, but like this is the closest we're gonna get to Cena turning heel, other than him literally turning his actual heel in an interview.
That was great, by the way. Still like top 5 greatest Cena moments was him twisting his foot on his heel. Because it was a heel turn. Those bad jokes aside, apparently pro wrestlers hate the WWE product too. Davey Richards spoke about this, posting on Instagram. I think WWE is getting too boring. Same story over and over about the same people. Some of the moments were good, but let's focus on the main storyline related to the main show at WrestleMania. They are the same people. I hope WWE develops their ideas and give other talents a chance, or or their popularity will drop a lot. I think Davey here has taken one too many shots from the snake because the popularity's already dropped, Davey. He goes on to say, speaking with Dominic D'Angelo, it's no secret I've always viewed wrestling as a sport. I've never been into the really silly characters and stuff to each their own, but again, that's my own, so it's good to be with a company that thinks along the lines, so we're on the same level, I think. So it's very organic in regards to why he joined MLW. Marcus, when you have some of the biggest names in pro wrestling basically saying your product sucks, it's maybe time to admit your product sucks.
Or, Fox News manipulate the narrative. Oh, has he ever worked here? Oh, he's bitter. Yeah, that's what that is. He wish he could have been in the Royal Rumble. That's what that is.
To be fair, that's not even a Fox News narrative because that's like a stretch. That's a DDP yoga stretch. It's deep, there's significant burn, and it can only exist in a world where Twitter's a thing. So that's a Twitter stretch. But speaking of stretches, remember when WWE said Jeff Hardy? Well, sorry, Danhausen came up first. We're going to go back to Danhausen here in a second, but we're going to talk about Jeff Hardy here first. Remember when everyone said Jeff Hardy was on the take, and he's like, "Oh, he's got problems." Well, today, the 31st of January in the year of our Lord 2022, Hausen, in our Lord Hausen. If Jesus was alive today, he'd be a fan of Danhausen. I believe that so much. He'd be Jesus Hausen. He'd be Christ Hausen. There it is. Matt Hardy confirmed to the fans on January 31st that the drug test Jeff Hardy took before he was released came back clean. Matt made the announcement on his Twitch channel after stating he just spent 20 minutes with his brother on the phone. Matt also confirmed that the rumors that Jeff was offered a Hall of Fame spot by John Laurinaitis. So that was true. But Brother Nero had other career aspects on his mind. Quote, they had offered him to induct him into the Hall of Fame, said Matt. They said that they wanted to do this. I know people have seen this online. That's not made up. That's a real thing that happened. And he just asked for his drug test at the very end of the conversation so said, no, I just want my drug test. I want the clean result. Just to clear his name. If that makes any sense, and I think it should, especially given his history. Just a couple days ago, he got the drug test back. The drug test is compliant. Everything was negative. He passed on all levels. I mean, he got the drug test. He got the drug test because he had to fill out a form actually to get his final results back because they held those results. I just got off the phone with him after being on the phone with him for about 20 minutes, and I just told him I was going to verify that here and confirm that this was a true story, things you heard in line, because two, I want him to be in the best place, and I want his reputation to be good. I want people out there to know he's okay. So Matt rambles a bit. So that's the thing. So apparently, it by all intents and purposes, Jeff just quit. He said nope, got the fuck out of that 6-man tag, and went home. WWE tried to send him to rehab. Jeff was like, I ain't on this take, so nah, I'm good, I'm going home. And then they released him. So I guess Matt and Jeff to AEW confirmed. Man, AEW is going to be a great 2012 WWE.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like I said, I don't. It's intriguing me. That company, being in that company, has been so many people's dreams, and yet they've turned it into a nightmare for so many people. Whether they've, you know, done them like they did Jeff, or just outright release them like they've done so many this past year. Like it's weird, and to do it with Jeff with this whole drug situation. Like he knows more than most people. He's only got so many more bumps left on that card. Because obviously we talked about it. He's basically Christian Bale in Dark Knight Rises. Feels like a lot of times. Um, so to sit there and waste time when he could be having a Legends type of run, like I feel that Rey Mysterio would be in the same situation if not for the fact that he's getting to do what he's doing with his son. But with Jeff, like with the drugs thing, and then everything with COVID's going on, and like I said, it's other stuff he could be doing. He's saying everything that his brother's doing in AEW. They could be having another run with all this Forbidden Door mess that's been going on. So I just think he's just tired of the minutia that they put him through. And, like I said, it was far more plausible that he pulled the Gail Kim because, obviously we saw what happened in Impact, but that was Impact. He's never really done anything like that in WWE in terms of just, outright walking off like that. So, we knew something was up. Either he hit a new low or it was kind of a last straw thing, and the last straw thing is not surprising. It's just right. Not a lot of people have the balls to do what he did.
Either way, it was a new low, whether it was chemical or emotional, because generally speaking, you don't really see a lot of people quit like that. You have to be kind of put in a whole new place mentally to think that that's the way to go. It's a clear sign that he was beyond unhappy. And I've been in a job where I was like that, where I was so done. And it was only 8 days in. Where I was so done. I was having just an emotional breakdown the day I decided I needed to quit. I'm like, this is some bullshit. I can't believe that people tolerate being treated like this. And I was done. I was just so fucking done. It's I get it, man. I get Jeff being at that place going, fuck this noise. And then quitting. I look forward to seeing him in AEWhausen. Speaking of AEWhausen, Danhausen's in AEW. Which is so very nice and so very evil. Now, this is one of those situations where people on the internet, again, had opinions. And people on the internet need to stop having opinions. Kelly still looks great. Fuck off. Danhausen is known by people. Fuck off. Someone on the internet said, the average guy in my gym wouldn't know who Danhausen is. So one, I have to ask, how many gym buffs do you think are watching AEW? How many gym buffs are watching wrestling? Not that many. That's number one. Number two, you clearly don't know who the fuck Danhausen is because dude's got a Twitter account. He's never wrestled for anything major, and he's got over 100,000 people on his Twitter account. So that's pretty impressive. His AEW debut on YouTube already has over 1 million views. That's Sting level of viewerships. To give proper context to the YouTube numbers. He was on Conan O'Brien's podcast, for Christ's sakes. He's known. Danhausen's very known. And it's not because he's a great worker, because I don't think he is. And I don't think Danhausen, if he was doing an out of character interview, I don't think he would even admit he's a good worker. But he's creative, and he's entertaining, and he's a great character. And those are the only parameters you need to be over. People love Danhausen. He's hilarious. He may not be your cup of tea, which is fine. You don't need to have the same cups of tea. You can have Earl Grey. You can have something else that isn't Earl Grey. I don't know teas. But when it comes to Danhausen not being over enough, are you kidding? Did you hear the reaction from the crowd? Like him or not, he got a pop. Don't sit here and go, well, the average fan doesn't know who he is, because they do. 1 million views in less than 6 days. That's number two. Number three, even if you were right that no one in the everyday life knew who Danhausen was, who cares? Because no one knew who Dwayne Johnson was. No one knew who Terry Bollea was. You can introduce new characters to the television show. It's okay. Even if they're not that popular in your mind, they can become popular. Like, look at Hook. He's some fucking underground sensation now. I don't know why. But a year ago, he was Taz's dopey son with a dumb haircut and a hoodie. It took him a year to be seriously taken as an actual character worth looking at. It takes time, but it's fine. Look at Orange Cassidy. A lot of people didn't know who he was. Now he's super fucking over like Rover. It's okay to introduce new talents. Okay to introduce quirky talents. You don't need to keep relying on 45-year-olds to carry your product. I'm just saying. Like, this is a fine hire. Not just because I'm a big fan of the Danhausen, but because thank you. But in general, it's just okay to introduce new talent to your audience. Regardless on if the dude from the gym who's selling you steroids knows him or not. Fucking hell, what a dumbass barometer.
Yeah, it's he needs to be built like Brian Cage though, man.
You mean the soon-to-be free agent Brian Cage?
He needs to be built like Brian Cage, look like Wardlow, or be CM Punk. It doesn't work. Obviously everything you said, Fanhausen or Danhausen is a sold-out shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees, and I'm mad that you won't ever see profits from it. Because somebody's going to listen to our show and steal it. But, yeah, I think this tweet I saw, shout out to Greg Morgan from Good Mic Work, just got a lot of, attention with the retweets and likes and stuff. And I quote, "The people who complain that AEW quotations only signs WWE guys want to know who Danhausen is."
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's basically wrestling Twitter right there. They only sign WWE guys. And then when this guy shows up, they go, what did this thing have an illegitimate child? It's
hilarious. It's just a losing fucking fight, man. Either you're only okay if they sign big name guys, or you hate the fact that they're bringing guys that don't have big names. Like, how dare you sign WWE castoffs? Build your own brand. How dare you try to build your own brand with these non-WWE guys? What? Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine the Miami Dolphins and Russell Wilson could be a free agent, could be coming to Miami, to Florida? Could you imagine the fan base going, "Ew, no, I don't want him. Draft a quarterback because I don't want Seattle's leftovers"? You'd be a fucking idiot. You'd be a fucking idiot to say that. Because you don't know if the quarterback you're drafting is going to be any good. You know Russell Wilson is. It's like that whole argument is just, it's stupid fanboyisms, and it's like those cheap shots that people take to try to win arguments. Like, WWE doesn't need to sign anyone else's talents, except that's all they've ever done.
Yeah, to your point, we talked about the narrative of the rebound that Alex Smith had going from San Fran to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when's the last time you heard the name RG3?
Yeah. Too bad he just slaughtered his knee. That's never a good thing. So, it's one of those things, though, looking at this, like, Danhausen going to AEW is good. AEW signing whoever from WWE is good. Where the issues lie is when you only present them as what they were. You have to find a way to make some of these bigger names, like, if you bring in CM Punk, you just can't want CM Punk to do pipe bombs every week, right? You want CM Punk to exist in AEW as himself, but also as something different. Bryan Danielson, maybe the most quintessential idea. Like, this heel version of Bryan Danielson was never seen in the WWE. He was never an ass kicker who just hated you. And it works. Chris Jericho, vastly different. And like, if you can find a way to bring something new out of a guy when they come into your company, I think you can almost put your stamp on them. Case in point, EC3. Derek Bateman, Michael Hutter was in WWE for like 2 years. He was wrestling on NXT, so no one ever saw him. But he was there. Then he goes to Impact and he becomes Ethan Carter III, EC3, and he becomes a star. And then his whole narrative just kills his entire popularity, and now no one gives a shit about EC3 because who the fuck cares about this goddamn narrative shit? But, you know, going forward, I think, you know, AEW can find a way to brand these guys as their own, at least while they're there. And I think guys like Jeff Hardy and Danhausen and whoever else ends up popping up in the next 6 to 7 months are going to be just fine because AEW really does know how to market and promote their guys. I think they need, you know, to have a little bit less on their roster. I think we're going to see a few guys, you know, heading, you know, into the sunset, but things are good right now for AEW. I'm looking forward to seeing how they use Danhausen. And yes, I will be watching more often, at least on the internet clips, to see how they use them. Because this is going to be fun housing. What? Go on.
No, I think people also need to stop. If you don't like or know or even care, just take time to respect that it's not easy to do what guys like Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, and the likes of Rosemary are doing, because it's just like those things conceptually shouldn't work at all. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's kind of going with the typical. At one time, everybody had, you know, the long, slick back hair, or Chad's complaining about this too, like either the long hair or the beard or both. You know, that whole deal. Mm-hmm. You know, but those three have gone completely off the map with gimmicks and concepts, and sticking to those gimmicks in a lot of ways, when a lot of times people don't even hold up the kayfabe of it all. You know, so, you know, kudos to them. Like I said, it's not easy to do, but they've found success in it. So if nothing else, respect them for that.
Yeah. Speaking of respect, Velveteen Dream wants you to respect him because he thinks that everything that has happened to him is utter bullshit. 100% bullshit. I'm not going to read the whole quote because, we're running up against it. But he did a dishing drama with Danhausen podcast. I don't know who that is. And basically he surmised it saying the WWE didn't find anything wrong with anything that I did, so I didn't do anything wrong. Which is a bold take. Because as we all know, the WWE is quite incompetent. So here's the question I have. One, Marcus, do we think that the accusations against Velveteen Dream were unfounded? At least from anything that we saw. And two, do you buy anything that Velveteen Dream is saying about how this was a orchestrated attack against him simply to get him fired? Because that's what he's implying. Do we think there's any proof to these accusations? We momentarily lost Marcus.
And we're back.
Sorry about that. All right, Marcus. Any truth to the accusations, you think? Do you think there's any truth to these whatsoever?
There's smoke, there's fire. I think some kind of way some lines got crossed or whatever. He might have overstepped it. But I don't know if it malicious intent or sexual intent was intended or whatever. But these type of scenarios are tricky, and I don't know, man. It's interesting because we didn't really get the level of I guess in-depth sidedness that we got with, the likes of Marty Skrull and what's his face with the stash that's now a Christian.
Yeah, the God, what was his name? Gentleman Jack Gallagher.
No, not Gallagher. The dude that was in Impact with the
Oh, Joey Ryan, yes.
Yeah, Joey Ryan. We didn't get the side of it. So with him, I mean, also like you said, he said they're categorically false, and kind of comes off like a thing. Like the company just it just got to the point where he was just like a PR nightmare for him, and also the fact that he wasn't necessarily performing to the level that he was when he was seemed like the hottest thing coming out of NXT. So it was like a perfect storm to fire him. But like I said, when there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, he's not going in the pertinent detail, but something went down. And we talked about with WWE a lot of times it comes down to who you are, not necessarily what you did, because we've gone through the names of people who have done stuff that they should have been fired years ago, and it's still there. So I think it did come down to a matter of convenience for them, uh, but something had to go down. That may have been some tomfoolery, but like I said, we'll never go in depth about it because I don't think he wants to take it there. He probably just wants to put this whole thing behind him because he's already lost his job. So
Yeah, and he implies that he lost his job in part due to shareholders being impacted by his allegations, which funny. But here's something that is kind of, ignored in his "I didn't do it" speech. He was also accused of smashing windows on a car in 2019, I think. November 2019, he was accused of smashing. Here it is. A man named Edgar Rodriguez reported criminal mischief to Orlando PD on November 30th, 2019, stating that he parked his 2015 Infiniti QX70 at North Magnolia Avenue. When he returned to the vehicle, he found his driver's side window smashed, and the incident was caught on the building's surveillance footage. The footage featured a black man in a pink shirt and dark-colored pants approaching the vehicle, motioning as if he was going to smash the windows before riding off in a blue Mustang. On December 18th, Rodriguez contacted an officer saying he saw the same man in the same car in his parking garage. The man was identified as Velveteen Dream after a December 29th police lineup. And the Mustang's license plate showed that it was registered to Clark, a.k.a. Velveteen Dream. The damage was stated to be equal to $1,800, according to the warrant affidavit. So he was arrested for doing it. And then keep in mind that when he was ultimately released, which I think was in October of 2020, Triple H says that Velveteen Dream's immaturity in his personal life impacted his professional life, thus stating that there have been problems with this guy. So he can go on and say that he was railroaded and he was fired because stocks and shareholders, but in all actuality, he got fired because of his immaturity. He got fired because of his inability to be trusted in a professional manner. So I think there's truth to the accusations that he was harassing people sexually online, especially underage individuals. So, like Marcus said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So fuck off, Velveteen. You were a great gimmick, but nothing more. Speaking of nothing more, we have to find a way to protect Lio Rush because nothing more can happen to this man. I swear. So the dude constantly retires and unretires just for shits and giggles. But it seemed like 2022 was going to be a good year for him. He was a free agent. He was leaving AEW. He was going to do the thing on the indies. He got signed to a record label or two. And then he was in the Battle of Los Angeles tournament where he was apparently facing Buddy Murphy and Mike Bailey. But then he got hurt. And he ended up going to the hospital for realsies. On Twitter, he says, just being honest with you guys here, I'm not good, but I will be good. And when I'm back, I'll be dangerous. Marcus, I feel for Leo. How can you not at this point? The dude is just snake bitten. He's got some bad luck.
yeah, if it's not, if it's not, I guess, cringe-worthingly purposeful in some instances, it's unfortunately unintentional in others, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just bad luck all around. I don't. At a foundational point, I guess, with everything that we've talked about with him, and other people brought this up, he's just not a sound bet. As
No.
talented as he is, whether it's something that's happening because of something he did or something that's out of his hands, it's just all culminating him just not being a safe bet. And as talented as he is, like I said, it's not like he's a diamond in a stack of pennies. It's other talented guys, it's guys that are bigger than him that can do what he do, and guys that may not necessarily be where he's at, but are less of a headache and have the potential to get there. And a lot of people rather invest that in a non-headache than try to put up with a guy who will go back and forth with a CEO on Twitter. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so like you said, you just want the best for him because it's like he seems like a fairly decent guy that's uber talented and could have the world at his feet if he just line things up properly. But it's just a series of unfortunate luck for this dude right now. And I don't, like I said, I hope this doesn't end with him just kind of chunking his hands up and walking away permanently. But you don't know.
I hope not. He's got too much to prove. And that's basically just what it comes down to. He's got too much to prove. I would really like to see a lot more from him going forward.
Same.
It seems like all of his runs kind of get stopped, and
Yeah.
it'd be nice to see like a consistent 3-year run from this guy. But we'll see what happens. That's all I got. I'm exhausted. It's the end of the month for me, so that means that I was doing a lot of last minute writing, and I'm gonna take a day off tomorrow. So
Well deserved.
yeah.
Well deserved.
I say that, but I know I'm not going to. I'll do a half day.
I'm gonna try to text you in the middle of the day, like, are you breaking? Not yourself, like actually taking a break. Are you breaking?
I'll take a half day. That's what I'll do. All right. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. Twitter, NERDCORP. Marcus, you can be found on Twitter at ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
It's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, over on Twitter at TruePennyShow. That's True Penny Show on Twitter. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well at Nerdcorp. Yep, at Chad Nerdcorp. There it is, ChadNerdCorp, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. We'll be back next Monday for another Wrestling Underground podcast. Be sure to tune in for that. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember, as always, to watch more Wrestlinghausen. And Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.